My name's Patricia Rogers. I'm from Australia. I'm from the Centre for Applied Social Research at the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, and I've just spent the day working with program officers and other staff at USAID. We talked about a number of ways that performance evaluations can be used, and a lot of it depends about when you're doing the performance evaluation. If you're doing the mid-term evaluation, it's really important to sometimes learn whether you're on track. Sometimes you know that things are not on track and you need to find out why things aren't working the way you hope they will be. You want to check on the quality of the implementation. Sometimes you're really open to finding out that you need to do things quite differently, and you want to get that information early on so that you can really get the most value out of the investment you've made in a project. And then if you're getting towards the end of a project and you're wanting to do a performance evaluation, then some of it's about really tying off the loose ends and making sure that the project's finished off well, but a lot of it's looking ahead. What has to happen next? What has to happen next there? What can you learn from this for future programming more generally? And a lot of it is not just thinking about what the project officer can learn and other people within USAID can learn. What can you learn with your other stakeholders, with the implementing partners, with the national governments, and do they need to be involved in planning the evaluation? How do you engage with them throughout it so that this evaluation is going to help all of the parties work together better? One of the issues that came out today, which I thought was really interesting, was to think very hard about how to improve the way that projects are planned, and that project officers do a lot of work in the original design. If they're looking ahead to the evaluation, it not only helps the project go better, but also the evaluation. So things like really thinking through the theory of change, not just what the intended outcomes are, but how we think it's going to happen, how you would know. We spent a fair bit of time today looking at how you might want to unpack things like effectiveness. What do we mean by effectiveness? What sort of results might be reasonable to expect to see during the life of the project, and you know, what areas of achievement might you want to find. The other thing that came up today was issues about equity and who the project's really targeted to, getting beyond just looking at average effects, getting beyond just looking at completed activities and saying what difference does it make, and bearing in mind what else is going on at the time. So thinking that through early on can be really helpful. And then a lot of what we focused on today was looking at the scope of work, really setting that up in a way that's very clear about what it is trying to do and what it isn't going to do. Just being less ambitious about what a single evaluation can cover, and perhaps more ambitious about how well it can do it. So we talked about having really clear questions that are linked to the purpose of why you're doing the evaluation, making sure that those key evaluation questions really focus how it's designed, how it's reported. We looked at going beyond the usual suspects for data collection, not just we'll review the projects, we'll do some key informer interviews, and yes, we'll do some focus groups, but looking at, I mean, there's a whole range of innovative ways to collect data in ways that are actually better, more compelling, more engaging, more participatory where that's appropriate, more objective where that's appropriate, and we should be making sure that the project officers write the scopes of work in a way that encourages people to match the right data collection methods to the questions and the purpose. And then, when they've got the data, do a better job of analysing it. We worked on an exercise today teasing through the sort of simple averages and finding out the story that was behind the average, seeing the patterns that were actually really important. sometimes people talk about looking for the nuances in the data, and I think most of us are too busy to look for nuances, but what we found were patterns that really made a difference. Data that looked like our program was not being effective, but really it was when you actually looked harder, or finding out that there's actually some unintended impacts that you really need to know about and make some decisions on the basis of. So, you know, framing up the program evaluation, the performance evaluation early on, thinking through the data collection and the analysis is really important.